Hey, it's Miss Chris. Today I want to talk to you about being a parentless parent. Being a parentless parent is very difficult, obviously, because you don't have a lot of support. You don't have grandparents, or the kid doesn't have grandparents. You don't have your parents to ask advice. But for me, the hardest part of being a parentless parent is that it brings up a lot of my stuff. I'm divorced from my son's father. And a lot of times, when we go through our issues, he's at the age now, he's 17. I'm a woman of a certain age, so yes, I have a 17-year-old son. He's 17, and when I look at him, I look at his life and go, wow, he's so blessed to still have both of his parents around. When I was 17, both of my parents were already gone. I lost my mother, I lost my father a year before I lost my mother, and they were already gone, when I was my son's age. And a lot of times I feel, as though that he kind of takes my presence and my support for granted. I think all children, do that. I think I did that with my mother. And I think I remember, oh, she's always going to be there. My parents are always going to be there. And then boom, just like that, they were both gone. So I try to make my son very conscious of having his father in his life. And, sometimes I feel like, oh, I wish I could just pick up my bags and just go away for like a week or two so he can experience that deep, loss, even though it wouldn't be a loss and I would probably be around the corner or in Atlantic City or something. But, sometimes I want him to feel that, and I want him to be able to appreciate me and all the things that I try to teach him, because another thing is I always try to prepare him for life without me. And I'm pretty sure that's not the right way to go about it, but I want him to be prepared for when I am no longer in his life, whether he's going to college, which he'll be going away soon, probably in another year, or God forbid if something happened to me or his father. I want him to be prepared, unlike I was. I wasn't prepared for my parents' death. No one, to be quite frank, no one told me that my father was terminally ill, and definitely no one told me that my mother was terminally ill. One minute they were here, next minute they weren't. So I want him to be mentally prepared to be able to stand on his feet and be proactive and do all the things, have all the skills that I had to learn the hard way when I was his age. And sometimes it ruffles my feathers because he's being a teenager. He doesn't want to learn these skills. He doesn't want to learn how to take care of himself and fend for himself and be strong. I mean, he's strong, but that's a different kind of life. And I guess, he feels like, well, you're here, so, why do I have to, why do you have to be so stern with me? And, sometimes I forget that, I'm preparing him for life without me, but I'm still here. So, being a parentless parent brings up a lot of those issues and things with me. So I had to learn how to like basically pump my brakes and be like, okay, relax, because when he was turning 16, I was feeling like, okay, it brings up my parents' death. My father had died when my son was 16. I'm like, okay, subconsciously I was feeling anxious. I was feeling like, okay, I only have one more year left on this planet. Even though that wasn't correct, thank God it wasn't. But in my subconscious mind, because, I'm holding, on to, I got to be a good parent just in case something happens to me, that necessarily wasn't the thing to do. And I had to like pull back and like, okay, let him breathe a little bit, give him some elbow room, all is well. He's going on 18 soon. You live past the danger point. Okay, so now I'm able to power down and be a little less anxious. So, that's what happens when you're a parentless parent and when you've had something really traumatic happen to you in your lifetime. A lot of it is PTSD, even though I know they don't call it PTSD anymore. They call it promote post-traumatic stress. No more disorder, just post-traumatic stress. And that's what it is. Every now and then, my post-traumatic stress kicks up and kicks me in my butt, but it's bringing to the surface all the things that I need to heal. I need to heal that, oh, I'm not going to live past my son's 17th birthday, which I did. I healed that. It's over and done with. I was able to calm down. I needed to heal that, my son's going to be okay. I'm a good mom and my son's going to be okay if something did happen to me. I don't have to like pound him in the head with all these survival skills and all these survival techniques because I was afraid. I was afraid that something was going to happen to me and he wasn't going to be able to survive. If something did happen to me or his father, he would be able to survive. I did it. Other people do it, have done it. He can do it too. So yeah, it just brings up a lot of your core issues, and I'm pretty sure there are going to be more issues coming up. Being a parentless parent as he gets older, and he's going to college. Maybe not. My parents didn't see me. They didn't even see me graduate high school. So maybe, the last little remnants of subconscious negative dwellings are coming to the surface, and maybe, I don't have any more. Or who knows? Or maybe when he gets married and have kids, then it'll kick up again. My parents didn't live to see me get married and have my son. So there are always going to be, I think, trigger points. There are always going to be trigger points for, people who are in foster care, people who are abandoned, people who are orphaned. There's always going to be trigger points. But it's how you handle those trigger points is what makes the difference. Are you going to allow these issues, these trigger points to like totally take over your life and you act like a maniac and let your subconscious mind, rule your conscious behavior? Because like I said before, your subconscious mind controls 90% of your conscious behavior. And that's why it's so important to be aware of what you're doing, what you're saying. It is so important to be consciously aware. And I know that's hard. Because a lot of us are on automatic pilot and, we just react. We're like a button. Somebody push it, boop, pow, boop, pow. You just react. And you don't ever want to be like that. You always want to be in control of self. You always want to be in control of self. You always want to do a tremendous amount of introspection. Why did I say that? Why do I act like that? What triggered me? Why did that trigger me? What can I do about it? How can I do better next time? What can I do better next time? You always want to be aware, and you always want to ask yourself questions, because once you start asking yourself questions, then yourself, your higher self, your inner self can give you answers. And I think that's very important for foster youth. You have to start looking on the inside, or foster care alumni. You have to start realizing that you do not have to allow your circumstances and your events in your life to control you now. You can overcome those things. You don't always have to be the same person that you were. And remember, I'm always talking about how you want to spiral. You want to spiral up and out. You don't ever want to spiral around and around and around. And people who have buttons that are pushed and they do the same things over and over. Oh, well, life did this to me. Oh, da 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 da. They do this. They do this. But if you're consciously aware, like I was, okay, I realize my son's going on 17. Okay, but that's not my situation. My parents died of cancer. They ate a lot of bad foods, that Southern diet, pork and beef, and they smoked and they drank. They lived a hard, lifestyle. They worked really hard, but they died because of their poor diet. And I'm a vegetarian trying to go raw vegan. Oof, that one's rough. I have my smoothies every day, and that's what my son said to me. He said, "Mommy, all those," he calls it swamp juice, all that swamp juice you drink, you'll be just fine. I'm always drinking herbal tea, and I do my yoga and my Pilates, I meditate and things like that. So my lifestyle is totally different. So I'm consciously aware of changing that negative cycle that my parents had in their life, which caused them their illness. And so my life is totally different. I don't have to recreate that negative cycle in my life like, they created it in theirs. So, that's why it's important to be consciously aware when you're a parentless parent and you're a foster youth and alumni. So that's it for right now. I'm going to try to make you 2 more videos. I just want to put that out. And that was what's on my mind. So remember to be the hero of your own journey. Until next time,